Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. For my wife, I made a rack to put some of her necklaces on, and then we moved and we didn't have that necklace rack anymore. So now I'm going to make her another one. Nothing fancy, it's just a simple little thing, but it's kind of a departure from the normal Old Sneelock kind of work. I'm not fixing a tool, although I guess you could say a rack is a kind of a tool, but it's more of a furniture thing. So anyways, the dimensions of the old rack were set for the place where it was going to be. So this time I measured where it was going to land, and I ended up with a rack that's 15 1/4 inches long. The wood is going to be 1 3/8 high, and it's going to be 5/8 of an inch thick. When I went over to the wood rack, I didn't find any wood, so I had to go to the big box store and buy some. I could have went to the local hardware store, but this is a piece that they wouldn't normally carry. What I need to have is 5/8 of an inch thick. That's 5/8 of an inch thick. And I want 1 3/8 wide. And this one is 1.5 inches. Well, that's only 1/8 of an inch bigger than what I had before. So I'm going to let that go. Couldn't find 1 3/8. Must have been something, a unique piece that I had at the time. But I do need to cut it off at 15 1/4 inches long. Now 15 1/4 inches long is easy enough. Just take out my trusty tape measure. 15 1/4. And using this little 10 point per inch saw, I'm going to cut on the side opposite the line. I want to leave the line. Then cut away the piece. I know that my piece of wood is 1.5 inches wide, and halfway on that is going to be 3/4 of an inch. 1.5 divided in 2 is 3/4 of an inch. You divide the 1 in half and you get a 1/2 inch. You divide the 1/2 in half and you get a 1/4 inch. So you end up with 3/4 of an inch. Whichever way you want to do it. New math, old math, it all comes out the same. So I set my marking gauge for 3/4 of an inch. And I just take my marking gauge and I carefully draw a line down the length of my piece of wood. Doesn't have to be a deep one, it's just a marker. Now with the side of the scale, it's marked in 1/16. I go to 1 1/16 and make my first mark. I verify that my dividers are set for 1 5/16. And all I have to do is place it in the mark, scribe a line, and just keep walking it off until I have all my center points for my pegs. I could have went along and used a ruler and marked this all out, but using the dividers, I'm absolutely certain that I'm right center to center where I want to be. 1 1/16 exactly. Now just to aid my old eyes, I'm going to go along and put a pencil mark at every one of the divider marks. The pegs I'm using, pretty much any peg will work, but I'm using shaker pegs because that matches what I had before. These are 1 3/4 inches long, and they are 1/2 inch in diameter, and they have a reduced shank. The shank is 1/4 inch in diameter. Easy way to check it, you get one of these things. Let you take whatever you're going to drill and try it in the different holes, and you can pick out the size of hole exactly. Just the last one that the peg goes into. It's not a requirement when you're making a rack, and maybe it's a bit more precision in what you really need, but I like to go along and make a mark with a scratch awl wherever I'm going to drill a hole. Gives me a little starting point for the drill bit. And it's easier to line up a scratch awl than it is to try and line up an egg beater drill. I have a 1/4 inch drill bit, 1/4 inch brad point drill bit here in my egg beater drill. I can take that little point, set it right in that scratch awl mark, and be really certain that I'm going to land exactly where I want it. And by taking a little bit of tape, putting it around the bit, gives me a flag to tell me how deep I am so I don't punch through the back side. It wouldn't really matter on this, but there's no need for it. And why not do a good job while you're doing it? I can tell I've reached the point when the little flag starts sweeping away the sawdust. Because the pegs come in boxes of 3 for some strange reason, they thought 3 was the standard. And I only need 10, I'm going to have 2 left over for another project. That's always dangerous. Gives you thoughts, and next thing you know, you're going to need another peg rack. Chances are it's going to be more than just 2 pegs though. Insidious how they get you to buy more pegs, isn't it? I just make sure I have all my pegs down in securely and that they're sitting straight. The little shaker pegs have a shoulder on them, so they naturally want to line up where they're supposed to go. Got a little extra glue on that one. I just got to give them a few hours to dry out and set up, and my shaker peg rack is done.